Hey everybody, sorry about that. I screwed up. Right here, I was at the end of the last video, we're about to talk about short form implementation. What I'm going to go into here is how this works. Uh, Again, you have your declaration step here, uh, and now you're going to have the creation and instantiation all in one step. How does this work? Well, again, the declaration part, that's the same here, it's the same in all of them. What I do here is that instead of saying, and I'll put this, dot 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 equals, and now instead of saying new int and then saying, oh, I want 1,000, and then having to use a for loop to fill out all those values, right? What I can do is I can directly write in the values using these these curly brackets. So what I do is I write these curly brackets in here, and then I'm able to just write the numbers that I want. Now, if you want to write in 1,000 values, that's going to take a long time, and it'd be better just to use a for loop. But let's say that you had something short like this, and you just wanted to put in 4 or 5 values. This is going to be much faster than having to write out a whole for loop. The main thing to note here is that you actually have to write out the values. This is just to show, like, oh, okay, let's say if I actually did it. And this would be the same as doing our thing before, where we had, and just ignore this for a second, because I finished the video and then I realized I'd accidentally stopped recording and then started it again midway. This would be the same as numbers I is equal to I going through this entire for loop. You see here, first number here is 0. Well, that's going to be put in array index 0, right? This is 1. Now, these are so I would put a 0 in here, right? Next number is 1, so I'm going to move over 1 and go to array index 1, and I would be putting the number 1 in there. Let me erase this real quick. Okay, perfect. 1, and etc., etc. So, that's another way of doing it. Now, this is just to show again that you can use it not only for numbers, but you can use it for strings as well. You can have string objects created this way in a very short form, and we can go over this at another time. But just to show that this could be a very useful way of writing. And the reason that this works is that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that the programmers of the Java language itself have created to say that, oh, well, if you write this shorthand, the program's going to do all this work essentially for you, all this kind of stuff. It's all going to happen behind the scenes, and it just creates a better interface for the actual programmers who are using the Java language itself. Okay, so what I was getting into here before I had gone ahead and accidentally stopped the video was I went up here, and so we know how to put values now inside of our array, right? Using the for loop or using a short form right here, right? But now what we want to do is, let's look at this test. It says randomly populate that array with values from 1 to 10. Okay, well, how do we get truly random values? Now, one way you could do it is just by randomly typing them in yourself, but it won't be truly random, right? What we're looking for is something that where every value has an equal opportunity to occur, and something that the computer can write. Like if you wanted to generate like 1,000,000 random numbers, you're not going to be able to think of that on your own. Won't be truly random. So to do that, we're going to use some help from the Java API. Now, what is the Java API? The Java API is essentially a documentation of all the available code that you can use. So if I go to the Java API here are all the classes that you can use, and they all have methods in them that you can use. So there's a lot that you can do here. I mean, too much to basically just look through this and try and find something. In some ways, you need to know what you're looking for. They also have these things called packages here, which are basically small categories is not the right word, but collections of these classes put into one thing, so that you say, well, let's say I want to use a lot of these classes I know I'm going to use. Well, they may all be put into a similar class. Like here, okay, look at java.math. Let's click on that. Now, here are the classes inside of it. Okay, big decimal, big integer. That one does honestly doesn't look that helpful, but you get the idea. It's like you could have a lot of classes in here. How about java.io? Okay, input output is what I see here, and here are a lot of classes that go along with that. So this could be very helpful. At any rate, so what we're looking for right now is we want to look for let's go back to this. We want to look for, we're trying to generate some random numbers. So how do we do that? Well, we're not really sure. How about we just do this? Let's just type in Java random number. Okay. Now you could always use Stack Overflow, but look here, I see random. Okay. This says it's from docs.oracle.com, which is similar to the website that we just went to. And look, this is actually a class inside of the Java API. It tells us what package it is. The class name tells us the superclass, gives us the specific name inside of the package, and tells us what interfaces are implemented, which you can get into later. And then it tells us, okay, here are the constructor methods. This is how you create an object for it. And here are all the methods that you can use inside of here. So, and it gives you like detailed description of what these methods do and how they do it sometimes. So, very useful. So let's look at these methods. Is there anything in here that can help us? How about this one here? Next int returns the next pseudo-random uniformly distributed int value from this random number generator sequence. Okay, well that's good, because going back to this, we've got, int values, right? We only want numbers between 1 and 10. That ought to work. Okay, so let's see how we would do this. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that this class, these methods are loaded into our program. So to do that, what we're going to have to do is load this file into our class. Now, Java has some packages and some files already loaded in there, but not all of them are. So if I go to here, what I'm going to do, and I've already written it up here, I use the import keyword. I do this at the top of my class, and then I copied and pasted this right here, java.util.random. Okay? This tells the Java virtual machine, hey, load this file into this program so that when I run it, I can use it. Okay. So I went in here and did that, and then now we're going to talk about, well, okay, how do you use this? So here is what we're going to talk about here, or talk about how to use these, to use this class, create an object, and then use the methods. So I have here the declaration of a variable. The variable name I called random numgen, random number generator. Okay, and I specified it as a variable to hold an object of the random class. So that means like an instantiation of the random class. And then I have here the new keyword, just like I had down here. So that means I'm going to create an object with this, and I use the constructor method random. Now I went here and I made sure I used the constructor method that I wanted. If you read this one, it doesn't seem to make sense. This, I just want, just a basic generic one. So that one seems to do. So I'm going to use that. Okay, and now let's say, well, okay, what actually happens when you do this? Now remember, this is executed from right to left, right? We need to go to this part here, execute this, and since this is an assignment operator, then we can say, well, what value is actually assigned to this, right? To this variable. Well, let's go in here. And some of this I've already written, so I'll, what I can do is I can just write it again down here real quick. Okay, so again, here's our heap memory, and here is our stack memory. Now, let me change this to black. So now here's our, just pretend, we've got our main method in here, right? Use my brackets to signify that. So now we have this random num gen is the name of this variable, right? Okay, so what happens inside the heap memory is when this new random is executed, the Java virtual machine goes inside the heap memory and says, okay, I need to find space for an instantiation of this class, an instance of this class. So I need space for all the methods and stuff like that, all the fields and the values that they might hold. So it goes ahead, it allocates a location for that. So I'm just going to put random here. Okay. And now, just to match it up with this one here, I said, okay, so it created an instance of this class, right? Now, if we look at this, it's saying, all right, we'll take this instance of this class and assign a value to random num gen. So let's write num in here for short, or ran, right? Because we already have num up there. So let's put ran, okay? Now, what value is actually going to be assigned to this? Well, what do we have up here with this array? We had a single value, right? Only a single value can get stored inside of a variable. So in this case, it was the memory location of the first block of memory in the array. Well, here it's going to be very similar. Let's say it was, the memory allocation here, there was this value C3 that was maybe, inside, or, that basically is, what's the word? Essentially responsible for this, symbolic for this. I can't think of the right word, but I think you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to take this value C3, and I'm going to store it in here. Okay, so I just took the memory location of this object instance, and of this object instance. That's the same thing over and over again, but of this object, and I'm going to store it in here in this random num gen. So that's essentially what happens here. So now, whenever this random num gen is referenced, what it's really saying is, okay, this has memory location C3 in there. Go to C3. What's in C3? Oh, well, it's this object. Okay, what's in this object? It has methods, it has fields that you can access, etc. So that's how that works. So if we go back up here, let's go down and let's go to this for loop and see if we can execute this Let's see if we can get some random numbers generated here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want to store the values inside of my array, right? My array numbers. So I'm going to click number. I'm going to write numbers I, just like before, equal to. I want to assign a value to it. Now I'm going to do random num gen. So I just referenced this variable here, which references this random object, right? Or object of the random class, not just a random object, but. And now I'm going to use the dot operator, which means, okay, go inside this and let's access some of the fields or the methods that I can access here. And which method did I want? Well, I'm going to go back here to my random, to the Java API page, the documentation page, and I look and I say, well, what value would be good? Well, integer, right? That is what this numbers array is able to hold integers, right? We need to make sure they're of the same data type. And this is going to return a random number. So I'm going to say, all right, well, let's call next int. I just called this method here. So again, right to left, this part is going to execute first. First goes to here. Like we said, this is memory location C3, points to this object. It says, okay, we want to execute this method from this object. So it does that. Let's say, in this case, I said, well, let's say the value was 13. Let's say that was the value that was randomly generated, right? So now we've got the value 13 here, right? And what does this assignment operator do? The assignment operator says, okay, take this value and put it in this variable, in this memory location, right? So what is numbers.I? Well, in this case, we were saying, you know, maybe I is 0, but in this case, let's say I is 1 for the sake of it. So I go to numbers, right? Numbers is area location, memory location A7. A7 points to this first block. If I is 1, that means, okay, let's go to the first index, or index 1. So that means I need to go 1 over from index 0 to get to index 1. And now it's saying, put in the number 13 into that memory location. Okay. So I'm going to erase this. Erased it, and then I'm going to put in the number 13. 1, 3, 13. And this will happen for the entirety of this for loop. Now, we've got a random number. What's the problem? We need to get the number to be between 1 and 10. And so this is part of the problem that I wanted to give you as a way of you know, giving you something to work on. The hint here to solve this problem is we need to use a modulus operator, which is specified by this this %sign. So what I mean by operator, assignment operator, right? Another term for operator here, or another thing that is an operator, like let's say we did 1 plus 2. Well, this is an addition operator. You know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, those are all operators. The things that they work on are called operands. So this is something that you can use on numbers. And you know, what I'd like you to do is look up online, see if you can figure out what this does, or if you know how to use it, great. But basically what we're going to try and do is let's solve this problem here. Let's try and populate the array, put this array, all we want is numbers between 1 and 10 inside this array, but we want it also to be truly random by using this method here. So that'll be a challenge for you. If you have any questions, just email me. I'll get back to you, or comment or whatever. And yeah, good luck, and thanks for watching.